Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind, doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is VK7 OTC, the club station, the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night. Justin at the microphone, VK7 Tango Whiskey. Now, tonight, and hello to Ron, and Lionel is right on the money. Hello, Lionel from Eastern New York State, coming in from the States, and Ron from down at Sandy Bay, I think. So please, if you are coming in via the stream, let us know who you are, where you're coming from, and any questions as we go through. Tonight we've got an interesting couple of articles and items. One is, we all have heard about artificial intelligence and it taking away our jobs and all of that sort of stuff. And I hope after tonight you won't think too badly about artificial intelligence. I had an application and I decided I would let artificial intelligence do the work for me, and so I thought this would make a good little segment on our ATV night to show how artificial intelligence can actually be used in an amateur radio application, and I think to me it certainly proved a number of things, and I'll go through them as we go. Pi TNCs. We had a bit of a packet radio focus last week on AmperNet. So I thought I have a TNC-Pi, which is a bit of history. I thought I'd show that as well, and if we get time, some magazines. Now, before we go any further, wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of the land upon which we present tonight, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the knowledge and the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. So, now I'm being a bit tricky tonight, so I hope, I really hope this works. If I do that, oh, look at that, excellent. That actually works, so I'm very happy about that. Now, I had an application, an amateur radio application, which I thought this is one of those applications that I think I can actually use an Arduino on. What I needed, I have a magnetic loop which I bang on about every so often, and what that magnetic loop I need to do with that magnetic loop is obviously turn it 180 degrees to point it in the direction that I want to receive and transmit signals on. So okay, I've got an arrangement where I'm able to do that, but I need to be able to obviously work out something in the shack that gives me an indication about what direction it's actually pointing in. So a lot of rotators have potentiometers in them, or encoded optical encoders or digital encoders that send a signal back to the shack, and you've got a little indicator to tell you what azimuth direction that your antenna's in. Now I've got some of those, but I thought all I need is like a potentiometer that turns in sync with the magnetic loop and just gives me an indication about where it's pointed. And I thought, well, that'd be a fantastic application for an Arduino. Little display, little liquid crystal display, tells me what direction it's pointing in, and all it does is take an input from a potentiometer, and the Arduino, through one of its analog to digital converter pins, takes that value, displays it on the display, does any translation that we need on the way through. So I thought, that's a perfect, absolutely perfect application for a little Arduino to do all that for me. Okay, I thought, okay, haven't done Arduino programming for a little while, but that's all right, can catch up. So what you see on the screen is actually I'll just change that to there. Here we go. I went into a little site, and I'll put the link to this site in the video description. But on that site, it's called ArduinoCodeGenerator.com, and it uses ChatGPT as the engine, the generative AI engine. And at the top of the screen, I've put in here. All I did was put in a sentence, and this sentence, I've just highlighted it. This sentence was Uno 16 by 1 LCD, so that's telling it how big the screen is, and potentiometer, display value from potentiometer, which is on input A0, which is analog input A0, on the display. And push the button, and it generated this code here, this little bit of code here. Now you can see there's it calls up the liquid crystal library, liquidcrystal.h library. It does some initialization, and you'll notice that you need to put in the pins, and these pins here are the first two are control pins for the LCD, and then there is 4 bits of data, and the pins that are on those data pins. Then there's a little bit of setup. It sets up and says that the LCD is 16 by 1, and it prints on the LCD potentiometer value, colon. And then there's a little loop that it sits there in. This little loop here, it sits there and it puts the cursor on the display at the very first display position. It reads the int sensor value, so there's a variable called sensor value equals the analog read from the analog pin down here, and then print the value on the LCD. So LCD prints at the first location on the LCD, the sensor value, then delay half a second, and it does that loop again. That's fantastic. That's really good. And so what I've done is, if I now go to, here we go, this is the real life Arduino. And you'll notice here, this is an Arduino Uno. This is actually a real Arduino Uno, not a copy or anything. So this has come out of my Arduino box. There's a potentiometer here. One side's 0, one side's 5 volts. and that goes into A0, the middle swipe of the potentiometer. Then there are some pins here which whiz off to the 16:1 display. So, what I can do here is go to here, back to here, and I'll show you there's the Arduino application. So this is the Arduino application for those who have played in Arduino, and I have put in that bit of code that was generated, and the only thing I've changed are the pin numbers that the display is connected to, because the pin numbers that the code comes up with is crap. It just comes up with random codes, and the rest of it is exactly the same as what's been generated. So if I go up here and go upload, and it goes off, and you'll see down here in the status what it's doing. Okay, it's compiled it, hasn't got any errors, and it's uploaded it. So what we now look at, and you can see there is a 0 here on the display. That should be a P because you can see potentio. So it's only filled half the display for a start. Not sure what's going on here. And the 0, if I turn the pot, here, you'll notice that value goes up. It's going up, it's going up, it's going up, it's still going. And if I get right to the end of the pot, it's 1,000. The values are 0 to 1,023. So that's the limit on the A to D. But if I start going back down again, you'll notice that it doesn't get rid of any of those trailing numbers. And potentiometer, what's remaining of potentiometer, is left on the screen. So what the AI has generated is a valid piece of code that actually does work, which is really quite, that's fantastic. It has actually done what we hope it would do. But what's happened is the AI absolutely, it's the simplest bit of code that it's generated. It doesn't have any concept of how to drive a liquid crystal display, because what you have to do with liquid crystal displays is tell it exactly where you want it to put characters, and you need routines to be able to do that. It doesn't take account of any scrolling. That's code that you've got to generate, and the code originally was supposed to put potentiometer value with a colon across the display. Now potentiometer value with a colon is greater than 16 characters. So what does it do? Does it drop off the end of the characters, or does it move? Does it scroll that or anything? So it's got no knowledge of how a liquid crystal display actually works. And so from that perspective, it simply overwrites the characters. You can see it's simply the 0 is where it should be, and those other characters are left over from the value going down and the rest of potentiometer. So we need to do a bit of tweaking. So what I've done is taken that initial code and what we'll do here, taken that initial code, and this is an updated version. So what this has done is I've taken the code, had to change obviously the pins for the LCD. I've put in here a little LCD clear command at the start, so it actually clears out the LCD, whatever's on the LCD. And then I print a little message here which says LCD print VK7CQ, and I delay it. I put it on the screen for 5 seconds. So that's all that delay means there. Now we go down to the loop. The loop's still valid, still good. The only thing I've added into the loop is before it moves the cursor to the very first liquid crystal display position, I've put in an LCD clear. So every time it goes through that loop, it clears the LCD, then it displays the value of the sensor. So if we go back to, bouncing around here a little bit, we go back to our Arduino and we go up to here and we go upload, and it'll go off and upload that updated code. You can see there's VK7CQ on the screen for about 5 seconds, and then it clears the display and just puts 0. Now if I start turning the pot, value starts going up, up, and we finally, when we get to the end of the pot, get to 1023. So all this is doing is going from 0 to 5 volts and putting that out through the swipe. Now if I go back down again now, because that's clearing the display every time it writes that value, you'll notice there are no trailing numbers that get left behind or anything, and we go back to 0. So what I hope here is AI is really good. Is fantastic. It actually does that code generation for you. The only thing I had to do was change the pin numbers for the LCD and make sure I had them soldered together right and all of that sort of stuff. But I now have a display that then the display in the Arduino would be in the shack, and then there would be 3 lines that would go to the potentiometer down, in my case, down in the backyard. And I've got control lines that go down there that I can grab 3 of them and actually connect the potentiometer to it. And that would come back and tell me and give me an indication about where the magnetic loop was pointed. And if I calibrated it, so set up the magnetic loop and then looked at what the values were, I could actually put directions. So when it had a particular value, it could say north or northwest, and or northwest, northwest, west northwest, and then west, or I could actually put in degrees of azimuth, just doing a translation table. That if it gets a particular value, it then gives you an azimuth heading that it would be pointing at, and you could get quite tricky in there, and a lot of those, if you take into account where you are in the world and the great circle paths, then it can actually display that you're pointing towards South America, or you're pointing towards You could even put in the call area if you wanted to get really sophisticated in there, but it's sky's the limit. So it's just a little application that I thought this is a good example of using AI to do the base level code, and then adapting that base level code and adding things to it. And funnily enough, I talked to a couple of programmers that I know, and guess what? That's exactly what they're using AI for. They use it for base code and then they embellish it. And so they're not writing a whole lot of stuff that wastes their time. They just get it to do it, they adjust it, and you've got the application. So that's a little Azimuth display application, AI. I don't think AI is going to take over the world anytime soon, especially if it uses a lot of the crap that's on the interwebs. But it's very handy and very time. It's a time saver for a lot of those things. So I hope I've been able to sort of demonstrate one of the uses for AI. So we'll just move over to. Now, I don't want to drop all of this, or it's going to go down to into a place where I can't I can't find it. So what I just want to show you, and this is a bit of a blast from the past, and I mean 2015, around about 2015, Coastal Chipworks, which is still, I don't think they produce this anymore, but they did produce a little Raspberry Pi hat, that was called the TNC-Pi. It had a range of a few chips on it, and a few switching transistors and bits and pieces on here. It came as a kit, so you've got the 40 way for the Raspberry Pi, some resistors, capacitors, and other bits and pieces, and it sits very nicely on the Pi. It comes out to a DB9 connector on the end of the board there, which connects to the audio and the control signals, the PTT, etc., to your radio, and it gave you a wonderful little Pi packet radio function, and I think Ben, VK7BEN, I bought two of these, and I gave one to Ben. I think he might have built it up and used it. I'm certainly going to be building it up and showing it in future events, and report how we actually go with it. Packet radio, as we said last week, is a bit of an intrigue these days, because there used to be huge packet radio networks all over the place, and these days there aren't very many packet radios still in existence. I think Danny and maybe Scott, VK7 HSE, have packet radio arrangements, but I'm not sure how many people they talk to. But anyway, TNC-Pi, little board, same size as a Raspberry Pi, plugs into the GPIO port, and gives you an interface to a radio as a little TNC. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure what the maximum baud rate on that is. I think it's 9600 from memory. But anyway, that's TNC-Pi. I love it. Absolutely love it. Now I've been banging on about this for ages and ages and ages. We've been trying to get to these magazines, and I showed this magazine. I showed one article out of this magazine. This is the latest AR magazine. It's not really the latest, because the next one's about to come out. The theme of this magazine was When All Else Fails, and there was some very interesting. There's the article that I pointed out a few ATV nights ago was the one by Linda, VK7QP, who did a fantastic article on VK7. Women make their mark across the century. This was a centenary article that Linda wrote, all about the VK7s and the YL VK7s who made their mark across the 100 years. You can see here's Joy Batchelor VK7YL, here's Anne Landers VK7YL, now VK7BYL, and Susan VK7SZU, who is now VK7LUV, who organised the last Alara that was here in 2008. So this was there's Helen Dowd VK7HD. This is the Alara Meet photo from 2008 that I actually took. So there you go. There's Kathy, Angela, Linda, and Sue K5DU at a coffee meet, gathering for the President's Lunch in 2018. So Sue, Shirley VK5YL was president of Alara at the time, and I was president of the WIA, and we had a big gathering up at the Christmas Hills farm, up at Elizabethtown. Went through there on the weekend during an equine endurance event. Here's the national conference, the Tassie Hamfest in 2022. We've got Jane, and we've got Margaret, and Catherine, and Linda, and Angela, and Maria, who were all at the conference. So absolutely fantastic. So that was one of the wonderful articles. There is another centenary article that is in the next one of this. I hope it's the Pop Medhurst article, but I haven't checked with Roger yet. But the usual things. Antenna launches are a go in VK3 now. They've had some regulation change in VK3 that enables you to use antenna launchers for antennas, obviously. Listening in. This is a shortwave listeners column that's reappeared after Robin Harwood's shortwave listeners column that stopped a little while ago. There's a wonderful article in here about New Zealand's response and radio amateur response to Cyclone Gabrielle. And Cyclone Gabrielle just hit New Zealand just literally a day after we flew out in earlier in the year, which was good timing for us. But there was a fantastic response. Great article by Phil Waite, VK2 ASD, considering amateur radio's future role in Australia's emergency communications, and he uses a couple of examples from around the world and where it has actually worked really, really well. Newcomer's Notebook, Have a Go Box, Will Travel by Jules Perrin. VK6 News, there is the 75th anniversary of the Geelong Amateur Radio Club, VK3 ATL. And VI75, VI75G, I actually worked them quite a few times during the RD contest, and there's a wonderful, the club's Type A Mark III transceiver, this was used by World War II resistance fighters. Fantastic museum piece. The 2023 Pillinger Park Fest report. Tripping over a stumbling block where exams were held by Jules Perrin. It's an interesting article and interpretation. Homebrew 3-band 100-watt HF transmitter, of course, by Luis De Stefano, VK3 AQZ. He does some great technical articles, really in depth. Keith Gooley, VK5 OQ, who was here with his wife on for the Alara meet. Had quite a talk to Keith. Nifty mod for the Pop and Pulsar test project. This was VK5JST's two-tone tester, and a little mod for that. Using a supercapacitor as a battery backup for the IC7 T300, and the scary thing of looking inside and finding out where the button cell is and changing it over for a supercapacitor, which means you don't need to change it then from there on. Spectrum Horizons article, microwave. Let's go up in frequency, Justin. The microwave activation up on the VK4. There's our Linda's article. We then have a Lara article by Jenny Wardup, who was also down for a Lara meet. Had quite a talk to Jenny. Over to you, which is the write-in part, and there's quite a few in here. DX Awards, promotion for Jota and Joti, and I'm sure there will be other articles in the next one about Jota and Joti, and that's the Alarm, that's the Amateur Radio Magazine. Number 90, volume 91, number 5. So it comes out every 2 months, and that's the article, and it's focused on when all else fails, so emergency communications. Now, the others that I apologise again. The others that I haven't got to Low Key magazine. Now this is the VK QRP Club magazine in Australia. The VK QRP Club is the national QRP club in Australia, and this is their magazine. Can I just say, the VK QRP Club, if you're into home brew, if you're into CW and anything around that, this is one of those magazines for you. And the annual membership fee in VK is the princely sum of $15, and this gets sent to you, I think, every two months. I think there's six. I might be corrected on that. There's 6 per year. Great little magazine, articles, homebrew, and featured on the front cover of the September edition, the latest one, is the scent, which is VK7 Whiskey Nick's design for a 1 watt 80 metre transmitter that he's been setting some records on just recently, distance records. It's with all of 1 watt on CW, the Scent CW transmitter, and that's featured in here. Bit of a comment by Trevor Quick, VK5 ATQ, who's the president of the VK QRP Club right at the moment. Club news, Kevin Zeitz, VK5 AKZ, who him and his wife were at Alara Meet, so that's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I had quite a talk to both of them. And ZL4KENZ. Good evening. I don't think we've had VK4KENZ. So welcome, welcome to the chat. The QRP. Now they run a couple of contests. One of them is the QRP Hours 40 metre contest rules by Andrew Davis, VK1DA or VK2DA, and the rules. Log checking, etc., etc. Now, this is the article by Nick, VK7 Double Scotch. And this was produced on behalf of the Northern Tasmanian Amateur Radio Club to celebrate the 100 years of amateur radio in Tasmania. And the thing I love about this particular transmitter is everything is common. You can go down to your local JCar or electronics store and pick up a BC548, a BD139. You can pick up the 3.580 megahertz crystal you probably need to find in your junk box. But all of these components are available from JCar. And he's actually built it into a wonderful little case that he's made out of printed circuit board and soldered it together, which is a fantastic idea. He's also used, this is instead of using a PCB, he's actually used the untreated PCB material, and with a hacksaw blade put crosses and lines to create pads that you can then solder the bits and pieces to. And if you solder it together in this arrangement, then really simple, and you've got yourself a little 1 watt CW transmitter. So fantastic work, Nick. Here we go. Here it is. This is the board that's had the cuts made with a hacksaw or whatever, and you can see you just solder to the relevant bits of components, leads of components to the relevant bits, and you've got yourself a very neat little 1 watt transmitter. Now I understand Nick's also worked on a few other things, slightly higher power version, a PA for the Scent, and also a few other filters and a few bits and pieces. So absolutely fantastic. Nick's put a lot of work into this, and a really good and well presented article. I would be very surprised if you don't follow Nick's instructions that you'll certainly end up with something that transmits on 80 meters and gives you a watt output. Your ideal rig for the Spring QRP Portable field day. So talks about Peter Parker, VK3YE, who we've had down here a few times, and he talks about the perfect rig, and the FT817818 gets a bit of a go. ICOM 705 to AH3 adapter. So this is the tuner, the antenna tuning unit, and this is an article about making up an adapter for it, and it goes through and shows you and testing. Member classifieds, Chris's VK1CT's crossword, which is always in here, radio related crosswords, so always a good read. Application for membership, the calendar and the frequencies, net frequencies, etc. There is a weekly, couple of weekly nets. And first ever portable attempt by Stephen Coote, ZL3ABX on the back cover. So absolutely fantastic. So that's Low Key Magazine, the VK QRP Club, and it's just if you're into homebrew, CW, or the combination thereof. Absolutely fantastic magazine. $15 a year gets you the magazine every couple of months. So really good. So how are we going for time? We're at okay. I'll just very quickly maybe go through a few bits and pieces here. We go up in frequency now, up in frequency quite considerably. This is, if you are into microwave amateur radio, then this is the premier magazine. It's bilingual. It comes in German and English. It comes out of Germany, published in Germany, really high quality publishing. And this comes out every couple of months as well. Sorry, this is quarterly. This is quarterly. So it comes out. There's four copies of this every year, and then they put together a lot of the technical articles into a Technics compendium, which you can buy. Some really fantastic. Now, quantum amateur radio. This is the lead article on the well, it's the cover article. Some of the things that are available in here: how to measure the width of a narrow antenna beam, and it takes you through the process of measuring. How a celestial body of 0.5 degrees angular diameter of the sun or the moon would appear in drift scans. So interesting article, and how to do it, how to actually do it for narrow beam width antennas. As you can see, really in depth, goes into the theory, goes into the empirical data that they find. It is always followed by the German version. So if you read German, you can go through and read technical German. They only include the diagrams in one of the articles. A software-defined receiver for the 30 terahertz infrared band. So this is we're talking about infrared, and some of the little modules that are available to do the analog to digital converter. And you can see he's using a dish here, which is a mirror dish, to actually do this. How he's come up with it, there is a GPS locking on this, I think, because that's a GPS antenna and a GPS unit. So I think he's GPS locking the frequency. He uses receiver using a Celestron telescope antenna. So the Celestrons are you can put in the constellation you want it to go to. It knows, because it's got a GPS receiver in it, where it is in the world, and will adjust and point the telescope at the right point. So really handy. Lots of test results here into the German. Now, theoretical foundations. This is the cover article. Theoretical Foundations of Quantum Amateur Radio, defining the QSO and introducing 3 quantum modes. Now, I'm still getting my head around quantum computing, so I'm definitely don't purport to understand what they're talking about until I've actually read this probably about 3 or 4 times. But quantum amateur radio and putting amateur radio into the quantum domain. So yeah, very in-depth, and I suspect absolutely mind-bending article, which I will have to get my head around. Now the last one I think in here, I think is in German. Yeah, phase noise revisited. So it was in German and then it's in English. So it was obviously a German author, I'd say. Phase noise measurement revisited by Dennis Sweeney, who is WA4LPR. So and there's quite a few, because phase noise is an enemy of microwave operators, and it's very easy to introduce phase noise in almost any part of the chain in a microwave arrangement. So worth coming to grips with how you measure it, and there are many articles on the measurement of it and the reduction of it in microwave chains. So yeah, that's DUBUS magazine, and then at the end it has the world reports, North America microwave report, what's going on in Spain and Portugal microwave report, and in fact I think from memory the European report, what's going on in Europe at the time, and I think if I get to the Australian or the Oceania bit, there might be the Japanese report, Tropo report, 6 and 4 meter, news and comments. Oh no, I thought there was something in here from Rex. It might have been the one before. Actually, it might be the one before. Yeah. Anyway, DUBUS magazine, quarterly magazine. If you're into microwaves, this is the magazine. It's all organised through VK3XPD. Alan Devlin, he's the Australian distributor for DUBUS. So he does a fantastic job organising subscriptions and all sorts of stuff. So there you go. Now, before I go, how are we going for time? It's 1:15. Okay, that's a good place to finish. Just a reminder for our members that are here in Hobart, December the 3rd is our end of year barbecue, car boot sale and fox hunts up here on the Queen's Domain. The 3rd of December is a Sunday. We are gathering after the broadcast on the Sunday, so around about 11ish. Having a barbecue. There was car boot sale, so please, if you've got stuff to sell or redistribute or whatever, please redistribute the wealth. That's a key tenet of amateur radio. It starts around about 11. Come up. Please let Tony, VKT, secretary at reese.asn.au, know if you're coming along, so we can get the catering right, and if you've got any catering requirements, let him know. So that's our program for tonight. Hope you've got something out of it. If you don't have anything else, AI is your friend. It's not doom and gloom like everyone's making it out to be. AI is your friend, and you can certainly use it for some fantastic AR projects. So I'll bid you farewell. Have a great rest of the week. We'll have another one of these next Wednesday night, and we'll catch you round. This has been VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night and 73.